Randall Hughes with GodGlorified.com, and we're commenting on our Bible reading from May the 2nd. And a large portion of it jumped around quite a bit as it covered David becoming king from 2 Samuel chapter 5, portions from 1 Chronicles chapter 3, 14, 12, 11, and some of the 139th Psalm was included in that, and started into chapter 6, but really didn't go very far into that. But so the early portion, it talks about David's wives and his sons that were born of them, and in all, what I gather, that there were at least 8 wives to David. Of course, Micah, the daughter of Saul, did not bear any children, according to, I believe it's 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 23, that said she had no child. I believe is the way it worded it, something along that line. And we'll be reading that tomorrow. But at any rate, if she had any children, it certainly was not by David. She was married for a while after Saul took her away from David. Well, David was fleeing. And so, at any rate, that's what we know. There are these various wives. And, of course, Bathsheba was the last one that he was to marry. And that he did, at the end of his life, there was Abishag that was brought to him, but it did not sound like there was a relationship there. In 1 Kings chapter 1. But at any rate, then we read of David when the Philistines came against him, as soon as he became king, and how 3 of his mighty men. When you go through a chronological Bible, it can become a little bit repetitive when something's told in multiple locations. And so we had it from 2 Samuel 23, bringing it in somewhat into 2 Samuel chapter 5, that when that event was believed to take place, according to Edward Reese. And then it was also told in 1 Chronicles chapter 11. And so the back and forth of it, as well as a portion in 1 Chronicles chapter 14. And so there was a multitude of back and forths telling the story as it went through. There were 2 different occasions, I believe it was. The one time with the mulberry trees, and the other time without, with chapter 14 giving more detail on the mulberry trees than chapter 11 was giving just the first account. And so, at any rate, some interesting things there. The desire to bring the ark back in, and then of course, the 139th Psalm. It is an amazing psalm that talks about God. And probably if you needed a verse to say the omniscience, all-knowingness of God, the 139th Psalm, that he knows his omniscience. And then, of course, his omnipresence as well is expressed by, where can I flee from him? And I don't know how much about the omnipotence, but we know that he was the one who made us, which makes him pretty powerful. And so to some degree, all 3 of those omni, or omnis, if you please, that apply to God, could be almost more or less seen as expressed in the 139th Psalm, certainly 2 out of 3. And as we then mentioned at the end of it, as we were closing, was the talking of bringing the ark back to Jerusalem. And that's going to be a great time, and we'll finish that out in our reading tomorrow. And so I pray that you are blessed by your time in the Word of God. God bless you. Have a great day.